How's it going, super friends? Welcome back to my channel, and today it is my pleasure to bring to you the DC Collectibles Justice League Superman. The only people that are supposed to be able to get their hands on these are subscribers to the American exclusive DC Universe Online streaming service. Therefore, people like me who live in Canada have to wait around for someone to sell one on eBay for twice the price. I think I ended up paying about $45 for this guy, so all told, I guess that's not too bad. The packaging for these guys, much like all the rest of the DC Collectibles items, is a solid color with white, in this case blue, to symbolize Superman, with a big window in the front to see that he comes with the figure and no accessories. The top of the box has the animated Justice League logo, while the left-hand side of the box has an image of the animated Justice League Superman with another Justice League logo and another number 8. And the other side is just more window. The bottom's got a bunch of yada 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 plus the UPC code. And the back of the package has a little write-up about DC Collectibles, another image of Superman, as well as the other figures that have been released exclusively through the DC Universe streaming service for the animated Justice League series. None of which I own. Just this one. Alright, we've had a look at the outside. Let's pop him out and have a closer look in hand, shall we? Out he comes, and here's what you get. I do want to point out that I have had definitely some bad luck with the animated figures. I had the animated Batman figure, and he broke both of his ankles, so I'm trying to pull him out careful. And I don't want to scuff his hair. Oh, man, why do they gotta make the bubbles for these things so tight? Oh my god, come on, man. And here he is, out of the package, free from the cardboard and plastic jail cell he was in. I think he looks pretty fantastic for starters. I've already taken a few pictures of him, haven't messed with the articulation yet. I've literally just taken the headshots and some of the body shots, so I don't know everything about him yet. But so far, I'm really impressed with him a lot more than I thought I was going to be, just based on the initial photos. So doing the slow toe to head, as we always do, the colors are perfect. The red is really red, the blue is really blue. The paint isn't perfect, it doesn't always end up exactly where it's supposed to be, but honestly, it's good enough for me. I'm not going to be super picky with this one. The colors for this Superman figure won't show up exactly the same as we see them with the naked eye, but I've got the camera set so it is as close as possible, and the blue is a nice, vibrant blue, and the red is really nice as well. As for Superman's body proportions, they're completely accurate and true to the Justice League cartoon show that they're based off of, having that exaggeratedly large V-shaped upper body on top of an average-sized lower body. I'm not saying that he has spindly little legs, but everyone knows that the Justice League characters that are male have massive pecs. Even the Flash is a really bulky character on Justice League. That was just part of the aesthetic of the show, and I think that this figure right here that we're looking at does a fantastic job of representing that. The sculpted details for this figure, they're accurate to the cartoon as well. I mean, the S on his chest, as you can see here, is accurate to the show. That's pretty much what it looked like. And I like the fact that it's a nice, raised sculpted piece. The shadows of the lighting should be catching that there for you. And you got the muscle tone there of his abs and his ribs and his pecs. And again, the lighting should be capturing that for you good enough that you can see that the sculpting detail, again, is accurate to the cartoon show. His belt is a separately sculpted piece, and unlike the animated version, they actually went and painted the belt loops for this one rather than just leaving them yellow. Oh, didn't see that coming. I thought there'd be belt loops on the back. As you can see, only has them in the front there. I guess it doesn't really matter if he gets plumber butt. And then you've got his trunks that have been sculpted on there and painted. Actually, nope, the trunks, they have. You can't really see it. There is some sculpting detail there, very, very lightly, where the paint is supposed to go on his trunks. And then you've got the boots. And the boots are separately sculpted as well. There's rotation, which I'll get into during the articulation segment. Let's not get ahead of yourself there, Brad. The cape tucks very, very nicely into the line there of his suit. Looks fantastic, and it's made out of a nice softish kind of rubber and accurate to the cartoon. That's what it looked like, and it attaches, right like that with that rubber thing. So you're not going to get much posability with the cape. I mean, well, it doesn't have wires, so you're going to get no posability out of it, but that just basically is what it is flappity flappity. As you can see, Superman comes with an open hand and a closed fist, and his hands and his face are actually skin tone. They're flesh, which means the head and the neck are fitted inside of the body, I'm assuming. They're separate pieces. And if I look closely, yeah, I can tell that they're actually separate pieces that have been put in there. I love it when DC Collectibles does that and doesn't just paint it. I really prefer that. The face sculpt for this Superman figure, you'll notice, is actually pretty accurate to the cartoon as well. The hair and the facial structure has all been sculpted to resemble the animated Justice League pretty much perfectly, so I gotta give them good marks for that. And the paint apps, though very simple in nature, it's just black eyes, eyebrows, and then a little bit of paint over his mouth there. You know, I gotta give them a pass. They're simple, they do the job, they're not perfect, but I don't expect them to be. I think overall this is a fantastic Superman head sculpt and does a really good job of representing the animated Justice League version of the Man of Steel. The articulation for Soupy here is going to be as follows. Head's on a ball peg and it can kind of bobble and go around and look down and go around 360. But if you want to get him in a good flight pose, ain't going to happen because he just can't look up. It's just not a possibility. On top of that, the fact that there is no ab crunch for me, that's not a deal breaker because I didn't buy this figure to get him in crazy poses. I just bought him to have an action figure representation in the 7-inch scale of the Justice League Superman. So that's not a big deal for me. The shoulders, they're on the hinge that go around, ball hinge, up and down. They do exactly what you'd expect them to do. He's got the elbow, which is on that single joint, and he can get almost 90 degrees, but he can also rotate as you would expect. His wrists are on a hinge swivel peg, and they can do that and do like this, and typically what you would expect. His waist, he's got a tornado waist, which means he rotates. Oh, it's stuck. It's tough. Ah, there we go. I didn't want to break it because that has happened before. There we go. So he can go all the way around 360 degrees. Then he's got his groin. From the inside here, he's got these hinges that can open up about that far. They can go all the way forward. This is very much a DC Universe Classics style groin here, which... You know, if you have a ball joint, sometimes it can look good, sometimes it looks messy. These here, they can look messy with the lines. However, they definitely keep the flow and aesthetic of the figure. I don't know. I mean, this is what you get, and this is what you get. Whether you like it or not, for better or for worse. Then you've got your knees, and the knees are single-jointed knees. They don't quite go 90 degrees. Do they rotate? No, they don't. So that's it. That's what you get. The single-jointed knees. Oh, looking at these, you would really think they're going to rotate, wouldn't you? That's ugly as sin. That's ugly. However, he does have full rotation here at the top of his boots, 360 degrees, as well as having simple ankle hinges. They don't pivot, they're just basic hinges, no left and right, and that's it. That's what you get for articulation for this version of Superman. I will point out, just as I'm preparing to do my size comparison of the Man of Steel with a few other Superman figures, that the ankles and the knees for this figure definitely get really loose after you first loosen their articulation up. I just shot that articulation segment, and what you saw is literally all I've done. And these ankles definitely have a lot of play to them. So just be careful if you've got him on a shelf, that when you have him posed, maybe get a figure stand and put him on that. Does he have holes? No holes in the bottom of the feet. Oh no, that sucks. Okay, well, pose at your own risk, because as you can see, he's top heavy and has weak ankles. Ugh. For the first size comparison, I've got him here with the Mezco 1/12 Collective version. It's got a Tony May suit on it, but there's the body size. And a kit-bashed classic version of the Multiverse Superman. It's all the exact same size though, so you're going to get a good idea of the scale just from these two. But let's do a few more. And here he is alongside the DC Essentials Weak Ankles Monkey Arms Superman, and then the 21 points of articulation classic Superman from way back when. And here he is with the DC Direct reactivated Super Friends Superman. And here he is with the DC Universe Classic scale Superman. Some of you might argue, but he came out with the multiverse. Yes, he did. However, this is still the DC Universe Classics buck that this Superman is using. And it is actually slightly smaller in scale in comparison to Rebirth and Kingdom Come Superman figures from the Multiverse line. And finally, here he is alongside a bunch of the other animated versions of Superman. That one was from the Batman cartoon, the animated series, Brave and the Bold. That was from the Young Justice cartoon. And this one is from Justice League Action. Honestly, I know that it's probably the most pertinent comparison would be to have the original Justice League Superman, but I don't have one. I just don't. And that's it. I think I've covered pretty much everything there is for this figure. The sculpting, the articulation, the paint apps, the comparison of size with other Superman figures, the packaging. Yeah, I have. So let's just have the final thought, and then we'll end the video. So my final thoughts on this figure would be, when you take into account the sculpted detail, the paint app quality, and the overall look of this figure in comparison to his animated Justice League Superman counterpart, I think he's a fantastic representation of this Superman. As for the articulation, it's not great, it's not terrible, but it's not great. However, I didn't buy him for that. He's really just honestly going to stand on a shelf and collect dust and be part of my Superman figure collection. And in all fairness and honesty, its articulation is actually pretty good for what it is. It doesn't have ankle pivots, and that's going to drive some people crazy. It doesn't have any kind of double jointed knees or elbows, and that's going to drive some people crazy, but seriously, I just think that this is the best one you're going to get your hands on so far, and the only one in this scale. But anyway, that's my final opinion on the Superman figure. I liked it, I loved it. If you can get your hands on it without getting scalped in the process, I say go for it. The supply and demand for this figure is only going to get greater through time. But yep, that's my time for today, so thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like on it. Anything to say at all, leave it down in the comments section below. If you want to become a super friend and join the DC squad, see more of my hands, show up in your inbox reviewing figures, just hit that red subscribe button. If you do, ding the bell so you get notified of new videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends, and as always, take care of yourself and each other. Bye for now.